Smash! The other day at home, my older daughter, Kimberly, accidentally knocked a glass of water off the table. It spilled everywhere. And almost instantly, her grandma, my mom, rushed over, in a panic. She grabbed Kimberly's hands and asked, "Oh, sweetie, did it scare you? Are you hurt? Don't move, let Grandma clean it up." Watching my mom so gently comfort my daughter, in that moment, I just completely froze, because my mind uncontrollably flashed back to a memory from when I was a teenager. I had accidentally dropped a plate of food, and what I got in return wasn't concern. It was a hurricane of anger and yelling from my mom. My younger self, standing there completely helpless, literally shaking with fear over making a mistake at that exact moment. Snapping back to reality, I looked at my mom, who was showing nothing but patience and tenderness to her granddaughter. And I'm really ashamed to admit this, but in that moment, I felt jealous, and I felt a wave of deep sadness. I couldn't help but ask her in my head, softly, "Mom, you are capable of being this gentle, so why couldn't you be like this with me back then?" Have you ever wondered why some adults are constantly on edge, while others just seem so relaxed, so happy? I know it sounds totally cliche, but it really does all go back to our childhood. Hi guys, I'm Lynn, and welcome back to Love and Our Littles. Let me put a quick disclaimer out there first. I love my parents unconditionally, and I am definitely not here to bash them. But after having Kimberly and my younger daughter Georgia, it really hits me. Parenting is actually this long, ongoing journey of, well, self-healing. As we raise our kids, we are simultaneously re-parenting our own wounded inner child, making the conscious decision to break the cycle, to stop the mistakes and trauma of previous generations from passing down to our kids, is honestly one of the bravest acts of self-growth we can make as adults. So, to figure out exactly how I can be a different kind of mom, I dove deep into the psychology behind the 4 parenting styles. Today, using my own personal experiences, we're going to break these down in detail. We'll look at how these 4 different approaches actually shape who our children become, both right now and in the future.
Let me start by saying something really important. A mother's love for her child is absolutely unquestionable. She would scrimp and save just to give her child the absolute best of everything. I have never once doubted that. But over time, I slowly came to realize something. The love is undeniably there, but the way that love is expressed can be deeply flawed. She didn't do it on purpose. She was just subconsciously repeating the exact same patterns she inherited from her own parents, a very strict, highly controlling way of raising kids. In developmental psychology, this model is typically referred to as authoritarian parenting. Incredibly high demands, but very low autonomy for the child. Under this model, my mom was used to doing everything for me, and she relied heavily on, micromanagement. From something as small as picking out my clothes every single day, she made all the choices. Whenever I was trying to do something on my own, she would anxiously hover over me, constantly reminding me, "Here's what you need to do next." Psychologically speaking, this constant hovering and instructing severely undermines one of a child's most crucial developmental milestones, their sense of autonomy. In other words, the child's brain simply never wires itself to believe, "I can make my own judgments. I can figure this out by myself." This suffocating level of control slowly stripped away all my independence, leaving me with this unspeakable sense of repression and frustration growing up. Because when control consistently outweighs trust, a child's inner world is trapped in a constant state of psychological tension. Because of this, what people saw on the outside was a very good and obedient kid, but that obedience wasn't self-discipline. It was just me being terrified of making a mistake. I was absolutely terrified of disappointing her. Before I did anything, the thought in my head wasn't, "Do I want to do this?" It was always, "Is doing this going to get me in trouble?" In psychology, this state is exactly what they call fear-based compliance. And there's another consequence that very few people talk about. In this kind of environment, some kids actually become really good at hiding. They lie, they cover their tracks, they might even become a bit sneaky. But it's not because they've gone bad. It's simply because when an environment does not allow you to make mistakes, the only thing a child can do is learn how to hide them. So, what happens when a kid like this grows up? The biggest fallout is that it becomes incredibly difficult to be someone who can make decisions for themselves. Because your entire life, the majority of your choices were never actually made by you. Take me as an adult, for example. Because I was so used to having my life orchestrated for me, I realized to my absolute shock that I had no idea what I was truly passionate about. I didn't really have my own interests. So many of my major life choices were just me following the path of what other people think is right. Even with something as trivial as buying clothes, I would subconsciously second-guess myself. Do I just have bad taste? Is this the right choice? Over time, this feeling solidified into a deep-rooted habit. I was constantly, endlessly doubting myself. And from a psychological perspective, this goes way deeper than just lacking self-confidence. It's because when a child grows up in an environment where they are constantly corrected, directed, and invalidated, their brains slowly internalize a specific voice. I am probably wrong. This ties into a crucial developmental concept known as identity formation. When someone grows up without enough opportunities to explore, make choices, or even make mistakes, it becomes nearly impossible for them to build a stable sense of who am I? So, the struggle in adulthood isn't just that you don't know what you like or what you want. On a much deeper level, it's that you fundamentally do not trust your own judgment. In intimate relationships, this impact becomes even more glaring. I find myself easily relying on other people's opinions, lacking confidence in every decision I make, constantly feeling like other people must know better than me. In psychology, this state is often linked to being codependent. You end up treating external validation as your primary source of security. But lately, I'm slowly beginning to understand something. My problem isn't that I'm not good enough. My problem is that I was simply never taught how to make decisions for myself. So right now, I am doing something incredibly small, but incredibly important to me. I am practicing making choices for myself. Even if it's just tiny decisions, what to wear today, what to eat, giving myself permission to say no. Because I finally realized that independence isn't something you just suddenly acquire overnight. It's a muscle. You have to build it little by little through practice. Some parents truly, deeply love their children, but their language of love is control. They map out everything perfectly for their child, but without even realizing it, quietly they are entirely stripping away their child's ability to simply become themselves.
So, that's authoritarian parenting. 1 down, 3 to go. Because here's the thing. Today, I only talked about one of the 4 parenting styles, and that was my mom's. But my dad, he's a whole different story. In the next episode, we're going to break down the other 3 parenting styles, and trust me, at least one of them is going to make you go, wait, that was me growing up. Whether it's your parents or, if we're being honest, maybe even yourself as a parent right now. Because none of us came into this perfectly. And that's kind of the whole point. If any of this resonated with you today, please hit subscribe and leave me a comment. I genuinely want to know, which parenting style do you think you grew up with? I read every single one. Okay, I just heard Kimberly. She's up. Duty calls. See you in the next one. Bye, guys.